You feel your jaw tighten when the other team scores. Your hands ball into fists. Your heart rate climbs and you don't even notice it happening. It's just a game. Nobody is coming for your family. Nobody is stealing your food. But the real answer to why you feel this way is far stranger than sports. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a rival team and a rival tribe. It never learned to. For most of human history, there was no difference. An enemy wasn't an inconvenience. An enemy was the reason your ancestors organized, cooperated, and survived it all. Start with a question. Why do humans form groups so easily? Why does it take almost nothing, a shirt color, a hometown, a shared joke, for you to feel closer to one stranger and colder toward another? Psychologist Muzaffar Sherif tested this in 1954. He took a group of ordinary 12-year-old boys to a summer camp called Robbers Cave. He split them into two teams before they even met each other. Within days, without being told to, the boys began inventing insults for the other side. They tore down each other's flags. They refused to eat at the same table. Two groups of boys who had nothing to fight over invented a fight within a week. Sherif hadn't planted rivalry in these children. He'd simply given them a group and a stranger group nearby. That was enough. Something ancient switched on. That something has a name in modern psychology. Researchers John Tooby and Leda Cosmides call it coalitional psychology. The idea that your brain is built to instantly sort people into us and them. Not because you're cruel, because for hundreds of thousands of years, knowing who was in your circle and who wasn't could save your life. Picture it. You are standing at the edge of a grassland 40,000 years ago. Food is not guaranteed. Water is not guaranteed. Safety is not guaranteed. The only thing standing between you and starvation, between you and a predator, between you and a raid in the night, is the small group of people who call you one of their own. Now picture another group nearby. They want the same water, the same herd of animals, the same patch of land. You cannot outrun every threat alone. You cannot outfight every threat alone. So you do something no other animal on this planet does at this scale. You cooperate with strangers who share your fire, and you brace against strangers who don't. This wasn't a flaw in the system. It was the system. Anthropologist Sarah Matthew has spent years studying the Turkana, a group of pastoralists in East Africa, to understand how large-scale human cooperation actually evolved. What she found was uncomfortable. The same intense loyalty that lets hundreds of unrelated people cooperate, share risk, and defend one another often depends on the presence of an outside threat. Take away the enemy, and the glue holding the group together can weaken. The threat wasn't just a danger to survive. It was, in a strange, twisted way, part of what built the group in the first place. Ask yourself why this matters today. You don't fight over water anymore. Most of you have never had to defend a fire from a raid. And yet the machinery is still running, still scanning faces, still sorting voices into familiar and foreign, still tightening your chest slightly around someone with a different accent, a different flag, a different jersey. You didn't choose this reflex. Nobody did. It was inherited quietly, generation after generation, because the humans who felt nothing when a rival group appeared were, more often, the humans who didn't survive long enough to pass that calmness on. Here's where it gets stranger. This instinct isn't only about danger, it's about identity. Belonging to a group has always meant knowing what your group is not. You are not them. You do things your way. They do things their way. And the difference itself becomes a kind of comfort. A shared enemy, real or imagined, gives a group something to unite around faster than almost anything else. Shared joy takes time to build. Shared opposition can form in an afternoon, the way it did for 12-year-old boys at a summer camp who had never met a single soul on the other team. Think about how quickly this still happens. A new coworker joins your team at work, and within a week, jokes appear about the other department. A new student moves into class, and within days, friend groups have quietly reorganized around who sits where. None of this required a meeting. None of this required a decision. It happened the way it always has, underneath conscious thought, the same wiring that once decided whether a stranger at the edge of camp meant food or danger. There's a darker layer to this too, and it deserves honesty. This same mental shortcut that once helped small bands survive is the exact mechanism behind some of the worst chapters in human history. Wars weren't only fought over land or resources, they were fought because groups became remarkably good at convincing themselves that the other side was less human, less trustworthy, less deserving of empathy. The same brain that lets you feel warmth and loyalty toward your closest friends is fully capable of feeling nothing at all towards someone standing one arbitrary line away. This is why propaganda throughout history rarely invents new hatred. It usually just amplifies an ancient switch that was already sitting there, waiting to be flipped. But here's the part that should make you feel less like a puppet and more like someone finally seeing the strings. Once you know this reflex exists, you can watch it happen in real time. You can notice the tightness in your chest during an argument with someone who disagrees with you politically and ask whether you're actually afraid of their ideas or simply reacting to the ancient sensation of an outside group encroaching on yours. You can notice how quickly you defend your team, whatever that team happens to be this week, a sports club, a company, a country, a group chat, and pause before assuming the other side is the enemy your body insists they are. Modern life rarely hands you real enemies in the way your ancestors understood them. No one is coming to take your fire tonight, and yet your nervous system still prepares for it anyway, every single day. In comment sections, in rival fandoms, in office politics, in family disagreements that spiral far larger than the original issue ever deserved. Sheriff's Experiment had a second half that rarely gets mentioned. After the two groups of boys had spent a week hating each other, the researchers didn't just tell them to stop. They gave both teams a shared problem to solve together, a truck stuck in the mud that neither group could move alone. Slowly, working side by side toward a common goal, the hostility dissolved, not because anyone apologized, because the enemy had quietly become a partner the moment they needed each other again. That's the part worth sitting with. The line between friend and enemy in the human mind was never fixed. It was drawn by circumstance, and it can be redrawn by circumstance too. Your ancestors needed enemies to know who to trust, but they also needed the ability to turn enemies into allies when survival required it, and that flexibility is just as old, just as wired in, as the hostility itself. So the next time your pulse quickens over a rival team, a stranger's opinion, or a group you've never actually spoken to, remember what's really happening underneath. You're not overreacting, you're not broken. You're running a program built for a grassland 40,000 years ago, one that once meant the difference between eating tonight and starving, between waking up tomorrow and not. It's just a game. But your body has never quite believed that, because for most of human history, it never was.